Only one thing matters. The truth.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Trent the Truth Show. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Trent the Truth Show. I'm your host, Trent the Truth. Whatever you're doing, wherever you're listening from, thank you for tuning in. Please like and subscribe to our podcast on Spotify and YouTube. It's the Trent the Truth Show. And while you're doing that, give us some love on social media. It's Trent the Truth on Instagram, TikTok, wherever you search. Real quick, today's episode is brought to you by Shy Soul Cuisine. Shy Soul Cuisine, specializing in the best vegan and seafood items with a creative twist. Stop eating unhealthy. Stop eating basic. Come change your life and let Shy Soul help you. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Chicago, Indiana Catering. Shy Soul Cuisine. We're here to help you slim down, lose that weight, eat healthy, get in shape.
Okay.
And just like I tell you guys, if you want to be a guest, you want to sponsor an episode, you got any questions, comments, or anything you want me to address, email me at trentthetruthshow@gmail.com. Again, that's trentthetruthshow@gmail.com. And if you're feeling good and you want to bless us, our Cash App is Trent the Truth 88. Again, that's Trent the Truth 88. Don't forget to put the $ on the front. And you know, for the people out there in TV land, we got the QR code on the screen ready for you to pull your phone out and make that donation from wherever you're watching. But whatever you decide to do with the show, whether it's a question, comment, you want to be a guest or a sponsor, or you want to make a donation, whatever you decide to do with the show, we truly appreciate that. And always, as always, continuous proof of that, we always keep a good guest. Week after week, we on a streak. Today we got Miss K with us. How you doing?
I'm good, bro. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. This was, I feel like an episode made in heaven, like a match made in heaven, an episode made in heaven because of the way I got the assist. You know, shout outs to my boy B Hub. He looked out for me because y'all are good friends.
Yes.
And he did explain, you know, to me that you were, I guess, looking for some place to come tell a story.
Yes.
And not just like a story, like you, like a
my story.
Right, your story.
Yeah.
So, let's hear it. Give us some background. Start with whatever you want to start with.
Well, my name is Kay. Well, I go by Kay. A lot of y'all that know me on TikTok know me as KK Crazy. I also have a platform as Beautiful Even Scars Tales, and that's the platform where I really started a couple of years ago to dive deep about my story and what I've dealt with in life.
Okay.
That goes into from like mental health to just, trauma and healing and all of those things like that.
Okay.
As a young Black woman or anyone in this world that goes through trauma, a lot of people don't know how to heal from it or deal with it in the most proper and healthy ways.
That's true.
So, this kind of tells my story of the unhealthy and the healthy. So, yeah.
Okay. Man, that sounds really good. So where do you want to start at? Like, did your experiences of the unhealthy, what age did they start at?
I would say my unhealthy started when my first trauma happened. My first trauma happened to me when I was 5 years old, and um, dealing with that. As a 5-year-old, you don't really know how to deal with trauma. Your parents are kind of supposed to navigate you through your emotions and how to deal with that and stuff like that. Unfortunately, I didn't have that type of, help with that. So I tried to navigate it by myself, which caused me to cause more harm to myself. But as a young woman, I did experience abuse at the age of 5. And during that time, it was more traumatic because even dealing with that, I also dealt with how we were raised in a society. I don't want to say just like today's society, we try to use gentle parenting, right?
Right.
That's what today's society
That's
is
what they
about.
push.
Yeah,
Yeah.
back then it wasn't really like supportive of mental health and stuff like that,
Right.
knowing what that was and what that looked like. So, dealing with my trauma, my parents thought it was more so me being rebellious and that I didn't go home when I was supposed to go home and stuff like that. But come to find out, like, well, down the line, they found out that it was an incident that happened where I did get assaulted and stuff like that. But in that time frame, I got in trouble. So I got a whooping that day because that was the form of discipline,
Wow.
instead of communication.
Wow. Okay. So you just spit out a whole bunch
At once,
at
yeah.
once, and let's unpack all of that.
Okay.
So, the trauma that you said that happened at 5, and then you said it was abuse. Was it was it like sexual abuse? Was it?
So I was sexually assaulted and there was a gun put to my head. I was threatened when I was younger, saying that if I told anyone that they would come back, they would harm me and my family if I told anyone. So yeah,
Wow.
that's at 5. So yeah.
First of all, so sorry that you dealt with that. Um, a gun in your head?
A gun to my head, yeah. Um
Not to even gloss over being sexually assaulted, but at the same time, like, god damn.
I don't know if anybody's ever watched like the white man in the van. It's like a horror thrill movie. But that's kind of my life. That's kind of where my life started.
Oh wow.
So yeah.
At 5.
Have I?
And then you said you got in trouble for getting assaulted.
I did. So at that time, I didn't really know how to express to my parents what had occurred. And I what do they call us? Latchkey kids. So I got myself off the bus. I had a key. I let myself in the house,
Right.
made my snack. I did everything independently. So I was born to be independent, I guess, in a way, from a young age. So at that time, getting off the bus and stuff like that, there was no one looking out for me, no one protecting me and stuff like that. So all these things kind of played a part on who I am today, of just like, always protecting, always providing for myself, always just looking out for self because of those things. Because in society, sometimes it is hard raising kids, and you have kids out here looking out for themselves, and people don't
Right.
understand how that impacts a child.
Right.
But yeah. So once that had happened, me being alone and having to defend for myself, I was harmed in the time of doing that. And didn't really know how to express it. Didn't know how to deal with it. Um, Definitely does shape you into a different person.
And you tried to speak up about it to your parents, and you got in trouble. Did they just believe uh, the other person, or did they even bring it up to the person that did it? Or
So my parents honestly didn't know what happened that day. They, like I said, since I was a latchkey kid, they just thought I just got off the bus from school and I didn't go home like I was supposed to. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. I did get assaulted that day, and I had came home late because of it.
wow.
And doing that, that's kind of why I got in trouble. And I didn't really know, like I said, didn't know how to express it to them. So I never brought it up. I just kind of stayed silent, also out of fear. So fear was in place in me at a young age, too.
Right, because I mean, I'm 5. Anybody put a gun in your head.
Put a gun to your head, and then also the fear of your parents, Also fearing for them and fearing for yourself. And then, you decided to take the punishment because you felt like you were protecting them and yourself. Nobody views and understands that.
How were your parents growing up?
Um, Being a parent now, I understand like your parents just do the best that they can. It wasn't always easy. We definitely did have our trials and tribulations. From being homeless to eating off of cardboard boxes to sleeping on carpets to not having lights sometimes to not having hot water. It was always trials and tribulations, but I will say that my parents did try their best. But I was also raised in a house with a strong woman that was very, she was the breadwinner, she was the provider, so I felt like I had to be the provider, the protector, you know. I grew up with a stepfather. I didn't have my biological father in the home. So I also learned that around that time that wasn't my biological father. So that was also a pill to take too.
So as I'm listening, you definitely are unloading, and as you keep talking,
Unload.
you keep unloading. So we gonna back up a little bit more. You mentioned times where utilities getting cut off, eating off of boxes, and then in that same sense, you also spoke about your mom being a breadwinner and all of that. What was your dad around? Was he
So my biological father wasn't around. He was incarcerated
okay?
most of my life. He struggled from addiction and um his mental health things that he dealt with. So
Okay.
yeah.
Did you know what he dealt with, or
So he dealt with like depression and bipolar.
okay?
So those were the mental things that he dealt with, and then also addiction from drugs and stuff like that.
Right. Wow,
Yeah.
that's tough. But you also said your mom was a breadwinner, so like, was she not working during those times when I was eating off of the boxes, or
She was working. I would say that I think I saw less of my mom because she was always working.
and that's why
Um
y'all was
I grew up with, like I said, my stepfather, so I saw
okay,
a lot more of him than I did my stepmom. Not my stepmom, my mom,
right?
and I was with my stepfather more.
Okay,
Um, and due to that, um, I did have a close relationship as I was younger, but as I grew up, and like I said, those things kind of shaped me younger to grow up a little bit faster than I should have.
okay,
Um, One thing I will say, anyone that does deal with abuse or anything, even at a young age, I advise you to speak up, ask for help. That's the biggest thing you can do is ask for help,
yeah.
when you need it. Um,
Speak up, say something, tell somebody.
yeah,
If I tell my kids all the time, somebody tell you to keep a secret, you come screaming that shit to me
yes,
because I don't listen. I'm
I,
over involved, so they said, when predators they look for children who don't have like strong male presence in their lives, or
yeah,
they see a weak point where they can come in. I'm there for everything, so yeah.
exactly.
So you ain't gonna catch mine. I'm gonna make sure of it. But it's unfortunate to the children that do have to suffer from abuse, especially because it comes from close people. It's a lot of times it's never a stranger.
It isn't. In my case, it was. When it first occurred, it was a
Okay.
stranger. Um, Later down my life, it did become closer people to the family and stuff like that.
Right. Like, wow.
And it, you know, or even as I got older and putting myself in more harm because I was running away from the trauma and things that I dealt with. I kind of put myself in more dangerous situations because I didn't know how to properly ask for the right help. So then that's when I started finding bad habits to kind of cope with the pain and the things that I was dealing with.
Right. You said you would hurt yourself. What were you doing with that?
So originally,
Were you like a cutter or something? Or...
I did do a lot of SIBs with or self injurious behavior. I also started dealing in like substance abuse as a young age, smoking, drinking, and doing drugs and stuff like that. So yeah.
Wow. And you really just trying to cope with your experiences from being 5. What age are you when you start doing all the smoking and the drinking?
I started smoking when I was about 12 and I started drinking around 13.
Yikes.
Yeah. And 13, I believe that's when I started like smoking like weed and stuff like that.
Did somebody introduce you to it, or you just kind of like discovered it? You steal weed from your parents or something? Like, how did you?
So no, my parents never drunk. They never smoked in the house that I grew up in. But it was introduced to me by friends.
Okay.
That once I was I grew up like I moved around a lot. But I did grow up a little bit in the south side of Chicago, and then going from there I moved to the suburbs. And once I moved to the suburbs, that's when I got introduced to a lot of the bad habits like the smoking of cigarettes and then the drinking and then the smoking of marijuana and stuff like that. So yeah.
That sounds crazy because people would naturally believe because I'm going to the suburbs, I'm going out here to live a better life, or
They would think, yeah, honestly,
and you going.
I got worse in the suburbs than I did in the city. I stayed on a porch in the city, and then in the suburbs, you feel like you're more comfortable. You feel like you're more safe out there.
Mm,
But unfortunately, you have more access out there, and a lot of people don't understand that. Um, you understand the dangers you're in when you're in the city. You don't understand the dangers, and when you feel like you're in a safe space.
right. What suburban areas did you grow up in?
So originally the first suburb I moved in Illinois was Glendale Heights. And then from there we moved to Carroll Stream. And then I lived in Bolingbrook, Plainfield, um, those surrounding areas. So yeah.
Going to school with, yeah, those kids. Yeah,
Yeah.
they get a different kind of high.
Yeah.
Yeah, weed, that ain't enough for them. That ain't enough for them.
They get a privilege high is what I would call it.
They sniffing Lysol,
Yeah.
dipping bleach in the cigarettes.
All type of
Yeah, they yikes.
it's dangerous.
And you got a hold of that. They introduce you to that early.
Yeah. I will say it also started because a lot of my friend groups were a little bit older. I think I resonated with older crowds because they understood a little bit more of what I dealt with when I was younger.
Right.
And trying to find that sense of what I dealt with when I was younger. So I always resonated with older people. A lot of people always said that I had a maturity about me. Um, but I didn't understand it
Right.
until until I got older and understood why.
Mm.
It was because the innocence that was in me as a child was taken away from me forcefully instead of willingly. So,
And did you ever even get a chance to unpack that?
I got into counseling when I was about 16.
Okay.
But that's when things had already hit the fan. I was running away from home. I was already doing a lot of the drugs for years at the time. Um,
What kind of drugs?
So, it did start off with marijuana. Going down the line, I did started taking what they call triple C's at a time, or with my friends, and those were like over the counter medications, but we were abusing them, and they would get us high.
Right.
So yeah, like you said, the sniffing of Lysol and stuff like that, it was a different type of high.
You was doing that?
I was, yeah.
Wow. And how long would you be high off of something like that? And then what risk are you? Well, I mean, I'm sure you don't know because I don't think you would take them if you knew the risk.
It is a lot of risk. Honestly, it messes with a lot of things as I have gotten older and faded away from those things. Like sometimes I get like heartburn or heart pains and stuff like that. It messes with your liver and how that process things. Like it definitely takes a toll on your body. Even if you're younger, yes, you can recuperate for those things, but as you get older, it still scars you. And that's what people fail to realize. You think because you're doing something younger, it's not going to hurt you and you're going to come back stronger. And you think you're invincible against the world, but that's not the case.
What will? Okay, so the day you put it in your head and said, I'm gonna go with these girls or this group, whoever I'm with, and we gonna sniff this Lysol. What did that what did that look like when you first saw it? How did you process that? And then what about it made you say, look, I'm gonna try this?
Um,
And at this point you just tired of weed, because I mean,
yeah.
now you fake got a reason to be, trying to find some sort of way to cope through the traumas, but Lysol
Well, it wasn't
or
really sniffing.
spray, okay,
It wasn't. I'm saying like it wasn't us sniffing Lysol, but I'm saying like us taking those pills was just
right,
a,
those,
a, a
okay,
form of like sniffing Lysol because
right,
it was
right,
over the counter, so it was easy to get for
okay,
us. Just like when you go into Jewels, like a lot of stuff is over the counter. It's easy to just grab and go. Like we weren't perfect kids. We definitely
right.
got into some things that we shouldn't got into. I would say my first time doing that, um, I didn't think twice about it, honestly. And I think I didn't think twice about it is because I always questioned myself at a young age. Like, why am I here? What is my purpose? Like, is it to deal with all this pain? And what is all this pain for? Like, I didn't understand how to process my feelings properly. So I just wanted to feel happy. I didn't want to feel sad. I didn't want to feel the suicidal ideation. I didn't want to feel like I didn't want to be here. So when the drugs and things that were introduced to me, I never second thought it. I was like, let's do it. I was
Right.
I was a daredevil.
That's why I said you fake got a reason to,
Yeah.
So how many of the triple C's would you take a day or at a time?
So I think when I first started taking them, it was like two or three. I think once I got to my max, I think I took like 20 pills at once. It was crazy because once you get used to it, the more you have to take. And it was, yeah. I think the one time I had got caught is when everything kind of derailed at home because I had them on me, and my parents didn't know why I was kind of acting the way I was acting. And it fell out of my back pocket, and they rushed me to the hospital. And I think that was the first time where I got the help I needed when I was 16.
Wow. And okay, so at 16, they helped you get off of those. So now you're done with drugs and you're moving forward. Did you finish high school?
I did finish high school. It was trials and tribulations with that as well. Um, at 16, I did start going to counseling and stuff like that. I still start understanding what mental health like was and what it looked like. Um, but in a way, I didn't feel like I was ready for it. I didn't want that type of help because it wasn't making me feel happy. It was making me relive the past. It was making me talk about it. It was making me actually feel what I had to deal with.
Right.
So I wasn't very accepting to it. And I went back to what I knew was comfortable. Instead of going back to what was more healthier, I went back to the bad habits instead of the healthier. So even at 16, receiving that help, once I got out, I don't think I did go back to the self harming. I didn't go back to self-harming, but I was still substance abusing with drinking and smoking and stuff like that. That didn't stop until I was like 20, 21. So yeah,
And you are how old now?
I'm 27 now.
Did you ever even, with everything that you went through in your past, did you ever even get a chance to like dream? Did you ever get a chance to see what your life would look like without all this shit happening? Or like, what were your goals or what were your dreams as a young lady, as a little girl? Because I know all of that shit got shattered early. Did you even get that chance?
Honestly, no. I had nightmares when I was younger. My parents would used to find me in my closet. Um, I wouldn't even sometimes know how I got there. I used to wake up with scars and stuff like that and didn't know how they got there. I think I believed more in nightmares than I ever did dreams because I felt like my life was a nightmare. I didn't know what a dream was.
Wow. Do you remember the nightmares?
I felt like I lived in nightmares. I don't remember the dreams per se, um, clearly of what the nightmares were, but I feel like once I woke up, that was a nightmare.
Right,
More
you
so.
damn near right. You damn near are living like wow. Shit. Do you have any siblings?
Yes. So I have 5 brothers altogether. Two that I was raised with, two that are on my father's side, and a stepbrother um, that I have. So yeah, and
And
I'm the only girl.
so were they with you when you was going through all of these things or
So my younger and my older brother were around when I did deal with a lot of these things. Um, but unfortunately, like I said, it was a younger and older. And my younger brother, even though we actually shared a room for a very long time,
mm-hmm.
he was younger. So I felt like he was more so my responsibility than me putting my burdens on him. So honestly, I actually looked out for him more. I was always trying to protect him, keep him out of trouble. We would bicker and batter like, any civil rivalry.
Right.
He didn't really understand that as a younger um sibling. And then technically I guess was raised as the middle child. So then there's my older brother. And I felt like he always got a little bit more privilege. But growing up, he was like the safe person for me. I used to always say I wanted to go with him, like if anything went bad. Um, because there was tension in the house, with arguments and stuff like that. And with that, me and my older brother weren't biologically connected to our stepfather like our younger brother was.
Okay.
So I felt like we had that connection.
And do you feel like at what age do you feel like your life got back on track
My life,
and you felt some some sort of normal,
hmm. I wouldn't say my life will ever feel normal if I'm being completely honest. I feel like I've gotten healthier with my choices and my decisions, but I don't think anybody can put a definition on what normal is because we all have our purpose. We all have our trials and tribulations that we have to go through.
right?
So I don't know what a normal is. I just know my story.
Right.
Um, I would say once I had my oldest daughter, I definitely did do a 160 in my life. I did stop a lot of the substance abuse. I did try to become more stable and, accountable because of her. And that was when I was 21.
Okay. So you're going through a lot all the way up until 16. You go through counseling. Um, and you say you have a daughter. So was he like somebody that helped you trust men again in some kind of way, or like did y'all have a relationship, or maybe just a baby came about?
So that is a very complicated relationship. Originally he was my best friend since 8th grade.
Okay.
Well, we known each other since 8th grade. We kind of became more so best friends in junior year of high school. And I was 17 around that time. And we known each other where I did feel safe with him and I did, attach a bond. But once we got into a relationship, it shifted and the nightmares came true instead of the dreams again. And my best friend turned into my abuser, and I went through a domestic for almost 8 years, on and off.
Wow. So you got with him. What age? What age did you get with him?
I got with him when I was 18.
Okay, and so from 18 to 26, he's Ike Turner.
From 8, yeah.
Were you comfortable with telling anybody about this, or?
I hid it for a long time. Just like I did every other trauma I dealt with in life. I didn't know. I thought the only people that you could really trust with trauma was like a counselor or somebody. I didn't feel comfortable going to family or friends when it came to trauma.
So you had nobody to tell that you going. And so, what would be the reasons that you dealt with this? Like, what would be his reasons?
His reasons?
Right, and then so you 18 and 20, and then you 27 now, so it's over with. But like, yeah, the reasons for the abuse, like.
Honestly, I think we all have our own trauma, and as a child, we don't know how to deal with it. I can't tell anybody else's story. I can only tell mine, but I do want to warn women, when you see a red flag, run. Like, a red flag is being aggressive. A red flag is a short temper. A red flag is, flipping it on you when you know you're not wrong.
Right.
So,
what was one of those days like? What describe a day that happened where an argument maybe led to a fight, or something like that, to see like what would y'all get into it about?
we got into it a lot about commitment. And that's one thing I want to warn a lot of young girls about, getting into relationships so young. Like, I shouldn't have been in any of my relationships that I was in from the age of 15 to the age of 18. I shouldn't have been in any of those relationships, honestly. I should have been focused on school. I should have been focused on my healing journey and going to counseling and getting the help that I needed. Instead, I was looking for love in all the wrong places, with using substance abuse, having a relationship, thinking I was going to fix what happened to me, and it didn't. And I found that in the wrong people. And when the first incident had happened, it was really more so about commitment and being committed to just one person. But you don't really know how to do that as a kid, As a kid, like, you see someone, it's like, oh, I like you, you like me. A lot, even in my kids today, like, taking them out, they always ask, like, oh, you want to be my best friend? You want to be my friend and stuff like that. Like, as a kid, that's kind of where your mindset is.
Right.
Like, you don't really know what that truly means and what the expectations or the responsibility of that. And we both didn't know how to uphold that. So those were where a lot of the arguments came in. And then the jealousy and the pride and the anger.
Right, because you probably had guys calling all in your inbox trying to take you out,
Mm-hmm.
and you entertaining it, and he doing the same thing.
But then trying to flip it just on me, or
Or maybe it was just you.
Mm.
Did you catch him doing anything, or you knew he was doing dirt, which is why you started doing dirt too, or
Um,
like you just described, you say y'all young, you don't know, how to commit so
yeah.
well. I'll give you that.
So the first incident that had happened, I honestly thought we were done because it got very disrespectful to where it disrespected my parents, and my
Okay.
parents had got involved. His parents got involved. So honestly, I just thought like from there, like I was done. I wasn't gonna go back. But again, I had that attachment. I had that viewpoint of who he used to be. He used to be the person I called when I was going through things. He was my best friend. Like, how can I just let this go, you know? And then it turned into I'm calling to go back to abuse instead of calling for someone for support.
Wow. So I get confused because you do mention your parents a lot, and then you say things like, "I was looking for love in the wrong places." Like, did you get that from them, or maybe obviously because you're saying those things you didn't? Like, how are they around, but you still looking for that love? Like, how was the household growing up to a point where you felt like you needed to look for love outside of your parents, your family?
So my mother, like I said, she worked a lot, so I didn't receive like she was more so a provider.
Right.
So I didn't get that nourishing portion from her. And then when it came to my stepfather, I did look up to him when I was younger, but as I grew up, I started realizing the flaws. And I think a lot of people don't understand when you look to your parents, sometimes you see them and view them as like heroes or the people that are always supposed to be there for you. But then as you grow up, you realize they're just human too.
Oh
They
yeah.
make mistakes, they
Oh yeah.
fall short, they can only do what they can do.
Oh yeah.
And I started really realizing that about my stepfather, that he was a person that held on to a part of me that I didn't want to hold on to. I was always baby girl in his eyes. But I didn't want to be baby girl because baby girl got abused. Baby girl got hurt. So I didn't want to be her. I wanted him to see me for me as I was growing up. But he always
Right.
saw this other version of me and held on to that. So then we didn't have a relationship anymore. I kind of severed that relationship. He became the man upstairs. He became stepfather. He became his first name because something he cherished is something I despised. So that child he thought he was help raising was a child that I was running from. That's where the runaway behavior came from, I guess.
Wow.
So yeah.
So it's damn near like every page, every chapter of your life is like disaster, and
Chaos.
chaos. Wow. That's a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
And you said you are you still in counseling?
I'm getting back into counseling. Honestly, I took a lot of the things that I've learned over the years, not only from counseling, but also being in mental health facilities, inpatient and outpatient programs that I had to encounter um, in my mental health journey. And a lot of those things have helped me. One of them being my writing. Um, Something that I didn't really think that was for me because I wasn't really good at writing and reading in school, but come to find out was like my biggest
Mm.
outlet for my healing.
Right, because I noticed you got the books. What are they?
So one is the Beautiful Even Scars Tale, and that's the biggest platform that I have right now on Facebook and TikTok, and that entails like my life story, my journeys, and that's just going over like relating to people that may have dealt with some of the things that I've dealt with and tell them to keep pushing forward because when you deal with a lot of trauma, that trauma sometimes gets in your head and tries to defeat you and tear you down, to think that you don't have a purpose in this world, and that's not the case. Your trauma and your trials and your tribulation is your purpose, because it can save someone else. um in that time, like I was saying, I wasn't the only one dealing with the things that I was dealing with. A lot of my friends dealt with self-injurious behaviors and suicidal thoughts, and I actually did lose a close friend at a young age from suicide. She had attempted and successfully went through with it. So at the age of 15, that's when I went through my first grief of losing someone close, to something that I dealt with.
Mm. And you
But
said it was a group of y'all that was just like
yeah, it was a group of us
that all just wanted to
just decompress from our environments and the trauma we were dealing with. Yeah, we were all trying to run from something.
wow.
And that's kind of how, groups get formed in schools.
Right. I was just gonna say because to form a group like that, there has to be like a lot of trust. There has to be something, some energy, some sort of something there to be able to open up to you and tell you my story, or you would tell anybody where you.
I wouldn't tell anybody, but I would say I open more up to people that kind of express their stories. And I will say it was more so a trauma bond than it was friendship. We were
Mm.
all trauma bonded, or we were all on doing the same things to escape, and that's kind of how we got close. Sometimes people think smoking is a friendship, but really it's an attachment. You're growing attachments to a bad habit with somebody because you're both trying to run from something. And
Right. I mean, if your friendship and what you're doing is built off of getting high and drunk, then it's nothing real. It's gonna run out. Life is gonna show you. You are right about that.
yeah,
Well, you are right about that. So you was talking about purpose. What's your purpose? What does it look like today compared to 10 years ago, or just 8 years ago when you was in those relationships, or just a year ago?
my purpose, I feel like, is telling my story. I've always, regardless of what I went through, I've always had a genuine heart. I always still, that love I was looking for was always in me, and I didn't put it in myself. I always try to put it in other people, and those other people turned out to hurt me. And I had to realize the things I was giving to other people, I had to give to myself, but I also had to give to the people that really truly needed it.
Right.
And those are the women, the even the men, younger men that suffer from abuse and don't know how to ask for it, because it's young men out here that see the abuser and become the abuser,
Right.
and it's young women out here that get abused and then find love in abuse. So I think my purpose is to tell my story to help uplift those that feel like they're getting beat from the trials and tribulations and the chaos and the disaster, that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Like, it's not just that, it's so much brighter than just what you go through. And you have to find that. You really have to search for that. And you have to fight for it, because it is a fight, and it's not just with the flesh, it's with spirit too. And I am grateful for one thing that my parents did. They did raise me in a spiritual home where I did know God and did know Jesus, and you know those things definitely helped me as I grew older, to help me find my purpose and being more spiritual in life.
Um, is that something that you feel like helped you at 5 when you were going through those things, like with the abuse, and
Absolutely not. At that age, I think,
or even in your teenage years when you were saying that when you moved out to the burbs, you get up with your other friends, and you was going through so much that once you saw drugs, was Jesus was your Christianity and religion, was that able to help you during those times, or
I feel like if it was
you had strayed
more,
away?
I feel like I did stray away. If it was more placed as a stronger foundation, but like I said, I moved a lot, so I feel like stability wasn't the strong suit of foundation that I had, not even in that religion or in my belief or in my faith. I didn't know what stability looked like, so I didn't know that my faith or my belief would be a stability. Um,
That
so
makes sense. So they took you to church some, but enough to what they say. You gotta get to know them for yourself.
yeah.
You didn't do that.
Yeah, not until I was older. So I actually got into a youth group at 17. And I think that's when things start getting more enlightenment for me. And today is, you know, at this age of 27, I can say I'm more firm in my belief in what I believe in. I feel like there's a truth in every religion that we have in this world. Religion is to divide, but spirit and what we have inside of us, nobody can take that
I
away.
tell people I feel like we're naturally spiritual. We divide ourselves through
Hmm.
religion, through denominations,
Yes.
because people they feel like they got the right one. And see, because I used to argue this. I used to be one of them. I have a religious argument in a minute. I used to be one of them. So you learn that there are over 38,000 denominations in Christianity.
Yes.
How in the hell do you know you got the right one?
Exactly.
So, like you said, there's some truths and all of that. With me, I'm a from the source guy.
Hmm.
So if I'm gonna buy something, I'm gonna buy the first story. So yeah,
Okay.
don't water it down. Don't
You
all
got to take
change the
it to the
names and
beginning.
characters and all this other stuff to try to that's a whole nother conversation that I'll have with anybody. But I do know what you mean. So they took you. You didn't go enough. So you know what I'm saying. So you didn't, like you said, you didn't know that would even be something that you could stand on at that time. But you said since then you've been able to find out that you can stand on that.
Yes.
And let me ask you this though, because you sound like you want to be a light, like you said, for the people going through these things. If somebody would have told you, they would have pulled you to the side at 5. They said, "Look, Kay, this is what's gonna happen to you. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all of these problems is going to happen to you just for you to be able to have a voice for somebody that either may not have a voice or have a voice to be able to encourage other people or to tell a story. Would you still go through these things?" And they highlighted the things that you'll go through.
I actually wrote something to my younger self, and it basically says like, you're gonna have a hard time loving yourself. You're gonna have a hard time finding your purpose. You're gonna have a hard time wanting to be here. But through all of that, there is light. So I think regardless of my trials and tribulations that I've been through, there's a purpose, whatever anyone goes through. And a lot of the times we put ourselves through more than what we have to, if
Mm-hmm.
I'm being completely honest. We have the blessing of having free will. We have the blessing of having free choice. We have those things as humans. That's what God gave us.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes we misuse those things and put us through more trials and tribulations. And he says he's close to the brokenhearted, you know? So sometimes we break our own hearts, but that opens up a door for him to shine his light on us, even in the darkest time. It'll shine brighter. So I wouldn't take back anything I've done or anything I've been through, because it's gotten me to the person I am today. And it's also brought me to the mother I am today with the 2 children that I have. So regardless of it not looking like how the world would perfectly put it, and maybe out of wedlock and stuff like that, those kids are here for a reason.
Right.
I'm here for a reason. I have a purpose. They have a purpose. And I'm here to also support them more than what maybe I would have had back then. And that's also what parenting is about. That's also what the chains breaking is about. Like, I have to break chains so they don't have to, but they also have to break chains for their future children not to go through.
Is dad active?
One is, yes.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Hold on. Time out. I know you may look at me and you see that I am hair absent, but you said you was in a relationship
Mm-hmm.
for the past 8 years,
Mm-hmm.
and then you just said one of your daughters is by the one guy.
Yes.
So you still struggling, or?
So with that relationship, as I stated, it was on and off. We
Okay,
didn't get together until I was 18,
that was an
I
off
believe.
time.
It wasn't off time. And then also the person that I was with was who I was with beforehand. So I backtracked. Also, never do that. Once you're done with something, don't go back to it. Everything has a beginning and end for a reason. And if it's supposed to be in your lifetime for a reason, it will not end. Like,
Well, okay, so it was off time with BD number one.
mm-hmm.
So you backtrack and find.
I went to my high school boyfriend at the time. So I had got with him when I was 15. I was with him up until 17
Okay,
before I got with
what
my
made you
best.
what made you break up with him?
If I'm being completely honest, like I said,
I mean,
talking to older people. I was talking. He was older. I was younger. But also seemed like I had more going for myself than he had for himself.
okay,
I always felt, like I said, I always had that genuine heart to take care of people and look out for people. And like I said, with me seeing a strong-willed woman doing that for her kids and her man, like,
no, I
I
get
thought
that.
that's how it was supposed to be. But as I started learning and as I started seeing it, it's just like, I'm not really supposed to be taking care of a man. A man's supposed to be taking care of me. A man is supposed to be protecting me. A man is supposed to be
Definitely,
providing for me.
definitely.
And that's kind of where we fell short in. And also, like I said, I was younger. He was older. It was just like, it
How
was
much older? Okay. So y'all were together from 15, from you being 15 to 17. How old was he during those times? To a point where you held him to a standard of taking care of you.
18, 19, and 20.
What the hell did he have at 18, 19? He was
He
20,
had he had
21.
all the substances and all the unhealthy habits that I ran to.
I get that. I get that. So freshman year, he was a senior because it sounded like a gap,
Yeah.
and y'all was together.
So my freshman year, yeah, he was about a senior. His senior year, yeah.
Wow. And so you felt like, okay, well, you a senior, you can take care of me. What was taking care of you? What did that look like at 15?
It was kind of the same thing, like in the burbs. Like he was from the city, so like again, I went back to my familiarity of like where I came from before transitioning into that suburb life. Um, and he had been trying to talk to me for years, never gave him the time of day, and finally did, and then realized like, oh, he's like older. He can get the drugs, he can get the liquor, he can, oh, he has somewhere to stay. His parents aren't gonna be mad if I come over, because he's older. Like,
Right. So let
I
me.
can stay here now because like at this point I'm running away from home too at this time when I'm younger. So like, oh, now I have somewhere to run to. Oh, I can do all these things that are bringing me these temporary comforts, drinks, smoke, and be lustful in my ways.
Right. I get that. Wow. So even while you going through all of these traumas, even while you running away from home and doing all this, you got standards for what a man's supposed to be to a woman.
Um, I didn't have the
Well, you
standards.
just sat up and said it's
I had a,
because that's why you broke up with him, because you said he wasn't known too much and you wasn't gonna take care of
I
him and all
learned
that
the
shit.
standards after, yes. But when I first got with him, no, I definitely did not have the standards then. When I broke up with him, I definitely did start to build a little bit more of the standards. But that was only a piece. That was only a piece of the pie. I thought like, oh, someone can provide for me. So I went to my best friend, someone that I thought could provide emotional support, financial support. But then realized that he didn't provide the emotional support or the safety that I needed.
You thought you hit a lick, and he had the reverse Uno card.
Yeah. Definitely draw four.
Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. That is tough. That is tough. What would you feel like is the most valuable lesson from all of your experiences in your life? What are you meant to do going forward, or
My
what
most,
did you take from all of this?
I would say my most valuable lesson in everything that I've learned is to keep hope, to keep faith. When you lose those things, when you feel like there's no hope left, when you feel like there's nothing to live for, that's when you let the enemy win.
Mm,
That's when you let them win. Your abusers or anybody that's against you or anything that's formed against you.
right.
You have to keep your faith. You have to keep your belief. And even like I said in the beginning, I believe in nightmares. You have to dream. Even with everything that I've gone through to this day, I dream about walking down the aisle. I dream about having a house with a white fence. I dream about, the playground in the backyard. Those are the things I dream for. And even though I may not reach it, those are the things that's keeping me alive, because once you stop dreaming, there's nothing to wake up from.
Mm, that's heavy. Um, but honestly, just to give you some pushback on a concept like that, you do have something to wake up for. You got two daughters,
Right.
and you just said you wanted to be a light to the women that are going through some things that you might be going through. So that's three reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like you do have purpose. You are supposed to be here. You mentioned marriage and picket fences. You say you went to picket fence, to German Shepherd,
Yeah.
cherry pie. You went all apple pie, the American dream, right?
Right. The American
How do
dream.
you even know that you're gonna know what that looks like? Because you've been through so much trauma. So when a good guy comes to you, you meet a good guy. How do you even gonna know what that looks like?
When you meet a good guy, you will try to self sabotage. You will try to find everything wrong with your past. But the thing is, people have to stop looking in their rear view and start looking out their front view. See what's in front of them instead of what was behind them. And that's truly how you'll be able to accept the things. And that's easier said than done. A lot of the things that I've gone through or have dealt with is easier said than done. It requires a lot of work, it requires a lot of time, it requires a lot of dedication. And once you put that into yourself, you'll realize when a good one is in front of you. And when you're ready to accept it and let go and detach yourself from the trauma and the chaos and the things like that, that's when, you know,
Why
it's
is that
time.
something that you got to be ready to detach from? Because I mean, I see it as like, okay, if I were to close my eyes and picture I'm hanging off a cliff, I got one arm on the edge of the cliff, and I got another arm down here, and this is the arm that's pulling me down are the traumas, um, all of the things that I've been trying to get away from. Then somebody comes to help, and it's um, survival. It's living again, breathing again, seeing another day. Is that something you got to decide that you're ready to do, or
Honestly, it
when
is.
I put it like that, so you still gotta, I don't pull me up yet. I gotta see if I still.
It honestly is. The only person that controls when you're ready is you.
Right.
So even if you got that person pulling you down or that person pulling you up, it's up to you to decide if you want to go up or down. It's up to you to decide when you're ready to let go of that familiarity, when you're ready to detach yourself. Because at the end of the day, like I tell my kids, it's easier to do bad, right? It's easier to smoke and drink. It's harder to stay in abstinence. It's harder to stay non-drinking. It's harder to stay like away from the worldly, perceptions that everything puts on us today, right? It's harder. So you would rather choose the person pulling you down than the person pulling you up, right? You would rather go with your friends that's drinking than stay at home and study some books, right? You would rather go with the person that's giving you a black eye than the person that's opening that house with the white picket fence, right?
Not if that's on your dream list. You said that's on your dream
It's
list. A
on your
black eye not on your list.
It's not on your list, but when you familiar with the chaos and you're
Right, 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 right,
familiar
right,
with
right, right.
the toxic and you're familiar,
You say
it's like
you
you
need a
want to
little bit,
you want
at
to
least a
go
little
with
bit of
that,
that.
right? That's what you're used to. That's what you think is right. But then once you finally put in the work to yourself and you start, it's discipline. Once you discipline yourself and detach yourself from those things, then that's when you're able to accept the good. That's when you're able to accept the light. It's easier to just say, oh yeah, I'm gonna go with the good guy, but guess what, your mind, your body, your flesh, and all that spiritual things like, oh, you're in love with the person that hurt you instead of the person that's trying to heal you, because
Mm.
that's what you're used to.
Is it because you're not getting closure, or is it because you've been through so much of it, you addicted to it now? So I need a little bit of
It becomes a drug.
I need a little bit of they say that with your cars, you get
Hmm.
like a transmission flush or something like that. They flush almost all of the old
Yeah.
oil out, all fluid out, the old
Yeah.
fluid, and then when they put the new one in, so that it can mix the old with the new, the slush.
Hmm.
That's crazy. So you say I need a little bit of I need a little bit of chaos. So the good guy, help me up, but smack me on the back of my head if that's not what you're saying, but that's what you're saying. Like
Honest.
call me heifer from time to time, but open the door for me. And when I say
No.
thank you, say you're welcome, heifer. Or
No.
how my
Honestly,
food ready? Like you want like
honestly, in a way, in today's society, a lot of us want like the 50% toxic, the 50% there, the 50% healthy. Ain't that what they say, 50-50, right? Today, that's what they say. It's not supposed to be 50-50, though. It's supposed to be 100-100. It's
so
supposed
you need 100% toxic.
No, no. You
Okay.
need 100% healthy. You need 100% being there. But you can't accept the 100% healthy if you're still at the 50% wanting toxic and the 50% wanting healthy.
Right.
Now you're torn between. Now you're in one life and another. Now you're trying to figure out where you're supposed to go. Now you're trying to detach. And that's what I'm saying.
Unless the good guy just get it like a little bad.
I wouldn't even say that because I feel like if the good guy gave a little bad, then it's just going to make them run back to what they know. It's going to make them run back to the familiar instead of showing them
That's right. Okay.
something different. And when a person's the hardest thing with toxic people is consistency. Because like I said, my life has always been unstable. So if somebody is showing me consistency, my mind is like, oh my God, what is this? What is this? It's the same thing over and over again. But I'm so used to unstableness. So I want to go back to the toxic, the ups and downs. I want to go back to the roller coaster. We up, down, roundabout. You feel me? Instead of just going on a sailboat and just going in one direction. But once you realize that that sailboat is going to keep you more consistent and more healthier and more happier, then that's when you're at a healing point. But that's what I'm saying. A healing journey is it's hard. My healing journey isn't perfect. I'm human just like
Nobody's.
anybody else. You're gonna have your trials and tribulations even in that healing journey. Even when you wanna do right, sometimes you do wrong, you know? And you can't beat yourself up because I was like my biggest critic. I sometimes, even to this day, will beat myself up like, why didn't I do it that way? I knew that was the right way. Why didn't I do it that way? But I had to realize, like, you have to come in one with your mind, your heart, and your spirit.
Right.
Because sometimes the other can mislead you. You get blinded by what you think love is. You get blinded by the world expectations too. So, what's the expectations of the world now? The sneaky links, the rosters. It's not marriage. It's not being with one person. It's not commitment. It's not loyalty. That's today's time that we live in. But you know that you want that. I know I want the white picket fence. I know I want the playground in the backyard and all of these things.
Yeah.
But how do I get that in today's society where it's just FYNs and sneaky links and rosters and stuff like that?
I mean, you get it when you meet a solid individual. When you meet a good man, you find that when you meet a good woman, it's their energy, it's their actions. There are no lies in what they're doing. You can see it, you can feel it, all of that. But you got to pay attention to it. You got to know what it looks like.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people
are still blinded.
They're still blinded, and there can be so much trauma that you don't know a life jacket from an anchor. You don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what could say. I don't know. This looks like it could save me. It says it could save me, but I've been through so much. I don't trust it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd rather just stay on here, stay in this spot. But what good do you do yourself when you don't take those risks? Now you used to taking risks. When you don't take the risk and jump on what you know is good. Like I say, I wanted to create that example because some situations is that easy for me. Like, if it's something that's gonna save my life.
I think it's a lot about not being aware, and that's why I do want to tell my story. A lot of people aren't aware of the damages of choosing the anchor, of how that drowns you out, how that puts you in more danger than it is choosing the safety bus. And if I'm being completely honest, it's not always easy jumping in the safety vest because a lot of the time you want to choose the anchor because you want to give up. If I'm being completely honest, a lot of us want to give up. A lot of us feel tired. A lot of us feel like, why are we keep pushing forward for? I wasted this much time. Why did I even allow myself to go through this? Oh, it couldn't be me. These are things that I actually listen to. Like, a song by Jesse Reyes where it couldn't be me, but it was me. You know, you would think it wasn't gonna be you, but the way that life has you going through things and the choices you make, when you choose that anchor, it becomes you.
Did you even get a chance to say it wouldn't be me? Because you said life started, the roller coaster was at 5.
Um,
Like, when did you get a chance to even know?
I tell a lot of people that as a child, you really don't have a choice. You don't. You have to go through your trials and tribulations as a child and not have a choice. But once you become an adult, it's up to you
Definitely.
to decide what you want to change, how you want to live, and how you want to heal. It's up to you to decide if you want to be a abuser or if you want to be a healer, if you want to be a nurturer or if you want to be absent. You know, it's up to you as an adult. As a child, you don't have that choice, but as an adult, it's up to me to change the wrongs. It's up to me to do right and better for myself. It's not up to my parents no more.
Okay, so you know that it's up to you to do better, but you're not sure if you're ready to do better because I see the help, then I'm not taking it. Does that even make sense to say?
It does. So sometimes you will realize that you need help or that you have help and you don't want to take it because in a way you're still stuck on what you're familiar for, what you're familiar to. So like if you are going through the feelings of loneliness and grief or bitterness and stuff like that, it's harder to find the joy and the happiness and the, like you said, those safety nets, those
Mm-hmm.
the things that are trying to help uplift you because you're so used to and attached to the things that brought you down. And when you want to do better, it's hard to look up when something's pulling you down.
What bad habits or what traumas do you feel like you attach to that's just permanent, where it's like I'm not getting rid of this. This is a part of me now, or I gotta get this done, or
That's an excuse. Honestly, if you're saying that you can't change or you don't want to change, oh, this is me, oh, I'm like this, it's up to you. At the end of the day, I know I'm a defensive person. Like, if somebody says something to me, I can be defensive, but guess what? I'm working on that. I have to work on being more in tune to listen instead of being reactive and being defensive because I want to change.
okay,
But if I just say, no, I'm a defensive person, that's who I am, I don't care how anybody else feels. That's I'm accepting me for where I'm at and I don't want to grow. I don't want to be better. And that's a choice. When you choose to stay where you're at, you're allowing yourself to settle for that part of you instead of realizing and doing self-reflection, because self-reflection comes constantly and continuously over time. We're always evolving, we're always changing. And if you decide not to change, that's a choice
right?
because we have free will.
Hmm. So, when do you feel like you would be ready to advance your life to that next stage of dating again, or get back into relationships, or how long are you giving it, or is that even something that's on your radar right now?
I would say that God always puts people in your life, even if it's for temporary or for a lifetime. He's always going to put the people that you need in your life for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And as we are on his time, we're also on our own time too because he gave us free choice. So it's up to me to continue to walk this journey of my healing, of telling my story and just seeing what changes in me, what transpires, who the person I grow into, what am I like individually, because me personally, I've always chose to be in relationships at a young age. So who am I by myself? But sometimes that's a little bit harder to do when you have two kids to raise, right? So now it's just not like I'm healing by myself, but I'm healing but also trying to raise two young queens as well to realize that, they're of value in their life. They have purpose. They have light. It's not darkness that just surrounds you. So
That's what's up. Going out, I always ask, what's something that we need to stop doing and what's something that we need to start doing? Us as people, whether it's a race or women, men, or whatever.
my three things is stop relying. My biggest thing would say stop relying on yourself. Always put your trust in God and your belief in God. Like, He's always gonna make your way and be your provider regardless of what you go through. Don't continue to be your worst critic. Like, don't beat yourself up. Like, you are perfect who you are and who He made you to be. Like, we are made individually for a reason. You
Right.
feel me? Even twins, like, they're still individual persons. Like, He took His time to create them. So accept you for you. And then the third thing would be like, ask for help. Like I've been saying, like, when you need help, God made woman for man and man for woman. Regardless who you have to turn to, if it's a mother, a sister, a friend, and stuff like that, ask for help, speak up. A lot of us try to deal with everything on our own. We try to bury it, we try to hide it, try to put the mask on when we're depressed, when we're going through anxiety, when we're dealing with bipolar, if it's anything mental health, we try to hide it. But we are in a day of time where mental health is taken more seriously and it is more supported, because over the years it wasn't. And a lot of the times, a lot of people that did have mental health got abused because of it. So,
Are you hiding anything with your mental health?
am I hiding anything? No. You can ask me anything. I've dealt from anxiety, depression, bipolar, PTSD. I've dealt with that all.
You're bipolar?
I have been diagnosed with bipolar, yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I was in a situation
Hmm.
with somebody that I later found out was bipolar. Um, I was in a relationship with somebody I thought I was gonna be with forever. When you're young, you be real
Yeah.
goofy. Um, and it's we get into the breakup.
Hmm.
Everybody moving out, you know, get your stuff. Everybody going their separate ways, and I come across some medicine, and that's how I found out she was,
Bipolar.
yes, licensed is what I like to call
Mm.
it. Yeah, she, yeah, um, and it all made sense because she would flip. It would just be a little simple, little simple stuff,
So,
it would be like terrible episodes,
with bipolar, it comes
complete
with
breakdowns.
the ups and the lows.
And
It's hard dealing with someone that has bipolar because they have the highs,
and they be
um,
high.
and you'll be happy, you'll be joyful.
Right.
You just love life, right?
But when it gets dark,
When it get dark, it's leave me alone. I just want to be in a dark room. The covers on me. Don't want to get out of bed. Don't want to eat. Just want to sleep
nah,
all the time.
that's a mild. That's mild. When it get dark, it gets dark.
Yeah, that's
I've been abused. I've never dealt with. You know, I'm big. You know, I got some size on me. You know, but you know, cause you know, I ain't gonna hit the women. You know, I ain't gonna. You know, I got sisters.
I respect
I got
it.
sisters. If it really get to that, I got an animal. You know,
Okay.
yeah, big sis. Come on now, she
Don't play about them.
What? I call her right now and tell her you tripping. No, I'm playing, but
Don't play about my brother, Mufasa.
yeah, I'm talking about yeah. So I know about all of that.
Yeah.
So you know, I'm not gonna wrestle with the ladies. You know, you ain't gotta worry about that one. But so I put up with abuse, physical abuse, crazy, and then you know, like you say, the downs be super down. And the highs be high. So like,
but what a lot of people don't understand, there's different levels to bipolar 2. So it's bipolar 1, 2, and 3. So that defines the intensity of what people deal with.
Where were you?
I'm bipolar 1.
And that's the mild sauce.
That's the mild sauce. Only Chicago know about the mild sauce.
Okay,
So that's
okay,
the mild sauce. So
okay.
you know, like with me, it's something like, you know, I have my like days where I'm real energetic, and then I go into a very low, which is like a hard depression kind of. So it's like the bipolar depression kind of. And then when you get to like bipolar 2, that's when you can have your ideation states of the highs and the lows. And then when you're in 3, those is when it like gets very chronic.
Oh yeah, I know.
So yeah,
I worked with somebody. I believe she was a level 3. They used to prescribe her lithium.
Yeah.
You know about that?
I do.
You probably level 3.
No. So what a lot of people don't understand, that bipolar is a genetic disease also.
Okay, because you mentioned your biological.
My father.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I got that gene from him.
Wow.
So yeah. So that's something that people don't understand, that these are, when I say about like the chain breaking and stuff like that, that goes with like breaking those chains for your kids and stuff like that. And even though my child may deal with that, I want to provide her with the most support that she needs to overcome it. Something that I didn't have.
Right.
So.
Wow. And so 1 or 2 of them are bipolar. Both.
Well, they're both mine, so they both have the possibility of having it.
And you won't know until.
Right.
Until they burn your house down and you take it to the hospital and be like, I knew it.
Honestly, it's hard to get kids tested at a younger age. Honestly.
They gotta be like 16.
Well, honestly, they start taking kids when they're around like 5 or 6 in certain programs. Okay. It just depends on the program and what they offer. So I definitely have invested in like evaluations and stuff like that for my kids.
Wow, okay. That's tough. And like I say, you know,
when you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready.
Right. So you say you be on S all the time, ready to go. I get everybody in the room right now.
The best way I can, yeah.
I get that. But that's something you working on.
Yes.
So is it almost like you seen Me, Myself, and Irene?
Yes.
And that's who you are.
Yes. So I definitely do.
You said yes, just so like I asked you if you're a black woman. You said yes, that's me. Like,
because I'm definitely for a lot of the I ams, the you ares, like the affirmations that I put over myself these days have a lot to do with my healing journey too. Because what a lot of people don't understand, there's also power in the tongue. So what I speak over myself and my kids can come true. So if I continue, that's why I say faith and belief and dreams are the way you fight the demon. It's also with the power of what you speak over your life. So if I'm saying I'm healed, I am free, I am true to who I am and who God wants me to be, those are things I'm speaking over my life. But it's different levels to it, and a lot of people don't understand that. Like, it starts with the I am, then it says, like, then it turns into I feel I am healthy. I feel I am wealthy. I accept I am healthy. I accept that I am wealthy. Those type of
So
things.
let me ask you this: when you do you call them like episodes, or like when you going off when you at the low point of by being bipolar? Um, how
Um
long does it last? Like, is it some sort of spell or something you get under, or is it a mood you get put in, or and then once it's over, do you know what happened?
um it's not like blackouts. I will say that you are very self-conscious of the things that you go through, and let me not construe that. I mean, maybe self-conscious of the episode. Like, I can say, oh, I'm in a high right now, like I know I'm happy, I know I'm up, I know I'm geeked, and then I can be like, okay, I have to prepare myself, I'm about to go through a low. If I'm in a high, then a low is coming soon. So, like, I'm about to be tired. I'm not gonna feel like doing anything. I don't want to push through. So now I have to find things that I can use to cope, like either writing or music or binging TV or, you know, exercising, actually getting out the house. And, these certain things are the things that you have to use, because yes, you could be aware of the episodes. It's just how you get through them.
Or if you don't find something to cope or help you offset those feelings, you're just gonna turn into a Medusa.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that, but yes, you
Do
can.
you have like an alter ego? Like I said, you saw the movie, dude. Who do you turn into? So you go from Miss K to what?
um Actually, my nickname used to be Medusa, so that was
Oh hell!
so that was
So you
funny.
used to just go, you used to just
Stone, just
go
cold.
there, just
Yeah.
yikes. So okay, so once all of that is over, do you know what you did to people, or do you know like what happened? Is it
It's
something that you always got to like apologize from or explain yourself after,
um
or is
it
it, or is it really just like being angry, which is why a lot of people get confused and misuse the term being bipolar.
it's a little bit of both. So when you go through your episodes, most of the time something always triggers your episodes, and that's a lot of what they teach you with, like, trying to keep your stress levels down, trying to, make sure, like, what you eat, what you listen to, and stuff like that. Those also affect, like, your behaviors and how your um crises or, episodes happen. So honestly, you do have to be aware of where you're at. Um, but as a young age, I didn't understand it because I didn't know what I was going through.
Mm.
So at a young age, not being diagnosed and going through that, I was just struggling with identifying, like, my emotions, identifying what I was going through as a younger individual. And as I grew up and getting that diagnosis and finding out what I was dealing with, that's when I started taking a lot of the things, like I said, that I've learned from a lot of the programs that I went through, with having coping skills and having the resources that I need. Because sometimes as much as it may hurt me to reach out for help, that's what I need. So
Right.
if I need to go into outpatient or I need to go into inpatient and stuff
You'll
like
do
that,
that.
it's better to do that than to sit there and continuously to hurt the people that you love or continuously hurt yourself. But that, like I said, everything is always easier said than done, because then you have life just throwing everything at you. You feel like you have to stay on top of everything. And that's where sometimes it can even become stressful, and those can become your triggers because you feel like you have to stay on top of the expectations or the duties, or, you know, or adulting. A
Right.
lot of people don't understand what adulting is.
No, that does
Like,
make sense. I do get that.
so when you feel like you're adulting and trying to balance mental health, it's hard because it's like, okay, I have all of this. And in the end of the day, yes, we're more understanding to it, but when is the world gonna stop with the bills and the responsibilities for you to go get that help, you know?
I get that. I do appreciate you saying that you are one. You do the work when you feel something coming on. You do the things to help suppress it in some kind of way. Or when you can't, you just go to the hospital or whatever to get that kind of help. That is good. I do respect that. I feel like this was extremely wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you did really, really, really well. I always enjoy taking guests, podgenity, like I always like to say. But I do feel like you came to help a lot of people today. You came to get things off your chest, to unload, um, and that was a lot. Any final messages? Any final anythings?
um, I think I would like to read something um from my book, and
Okay,
it's just basically, a little bit of what we kind of talked about, about like finding yourself and, going through those trials and tribulations and stuff that we deal with
okay.
over time. Um, so that's kind of the last thing that I have for you today.
Mm, like this class. So the last thing I have for you today.
So it's called I See You. And it says, I see you, dear black child, I see you. Through all the overlooked eyes and the misjudged lies, there is a queen that lives inside. Don't hide. Sometimes feelings will misguide. Hold close to the truth and you will never be blind. I see you, so rise to the occasion. You can shine brighter than the daylight that hides in your morning eyes. Your worth is more than gold. I see you, the value that lies deep inside your heart. You must protect from all that doesn't belong in
Mm.
you. I see you. So I hope with everything that I said today, you're able to decipher through all those
Yeah,
metaphors.
no. Yeah, no. You did. Like I said, you came on to help a lot of people. This was wonderful. And I'm glad that um you got everything you needed to get from this. I'm glad you're doing the work as somebody who went through a lot of traumas, and you don't make the excuses for them. You fight through them because it's a practice every day. And even with people that haven't even been through this level and the things that you went through, it's just a life. Every day is a practice, just getting it right. I tell my children that.
Yeah.
As I teach them, I say, look, I'm even still doing the same things that I'm trying to teach you guys because it's every day. Just because I'm an adult don't mean I got it figured out. Don't mean I got it together. So it's always a pleasure when you find people who have been through things still doing the work, not making excuses for their behavior, because you get a lot of people that go through things and then think they have the right to just lash out or the right to just act any kind of way. And
You're not in trouble. Take accountability.
there you go.
And that's what I'm trying to teach my kids now, is like, even when they do something wrong, it's telling them you're not in trouble, but take accountability. Learn how to tell the truth instead of the lies.
There you go, Miss K. Booyah. Thanks again for tuning in to the Trent the Truth Show. Please make sure you like and subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel. Follow us on social media, Trent the Truth. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or if you want to be a guest, email me at TrentTheTruthShow@gmail.com. Again, that's TrentTheTruthShow@gmail.com. Thanks again. Tell your friends. Watch it together.